So let's talk a little bit about the fees regarding selling on Walmart. And this is just one of very few slideshows that I will do just because it's kind of easier to talk about. But I will also put reference links to the terms of service and that have basically all of this information on the website that you can access. So the first thing about Walmart selling is it is $0 to open an account and there are zero monthly fees. So there is not a monthly selling fee like there is on Amazon. And that's one of the reasons that I tell everyone you should just go ahead and open your account, even if you don't plan to use it right away. You want to open your account while you still have your Amazon account in good standing that you can use as a reference point when you open your account, but also just to kind of stay in the know. I mean, hopefully you start using it and you start sending some things. But even if you don't, Walmart's not going to charge you, which is just wonderful. And they don't have levels. Everybody has the same exact kind of access to the account. They also charge referral fees. These are very much like the same that you have experienced if you sold on Amazon. It is a percentage that's determined by the category and the price point. So, whatever you price your items at, it's going to be a percent of that selling price that you get charged to sell the item. And so, it's really good to have a baseline understanding of what those percentages are because they can make a difference between whether or not an item is profitable or not. This referral fee is paid whether you sell the item seller fulfilled or WFS. So it is charged on every single item that is listed and sold on the Walmart marketplace. So we're just kind of going to brush through these pretty quickly. Like I said, I'm going to post the link so that you can look at it in more detail. But just to give yourself kind of that kind of baseline understanding, if you sell apparel and accessories, anything priced below $15 is a 5% referral fee. That's the lowest referral fee category across the entire catalog. And we're going to go kind of increasing in those percentages as we talk through those. 6% is personal computers. Great category, some great price points if you have access to those products. 8% contains a lot more items. A lot of them are kind of conditional, such as baby items, $10 or less, beauty, $10 or less, grocery, $15 or less, health and personal care, $10 or less. So you can kind of see like there's these like price point areas where the fee changes. That's important to know. For example, in grocery, listing something at $14.99 with an 8% referral is better than listing something at like $15.50 where you're paying a 15% referral. So you really want to understand those kind of, I call them black holes between those price point jumps where it doesn't make sense to list a baby item at $11 when you're paying a higher referral fee than if you listed it for 10. So you want to go from 10 to something like 14 on a baby item to be able to make it actually profitable. Okay, so you can see other categories like camera and photo. If you are approved to sell collectibles, those are also at 8%. Hunting trail monitors, binoculars, video game consoles. So all of these are at this 8% marker, which is much better than a 15% marker. So sometimes you might want to actually intentionally source items that have that lower referral fee percentage. At 10%, we have apparel and accessories that are priced between $15 and $20, and then a couple of other categories. And then at 12%, compact appliances, so things like crock pots and things like that, up to a $300 price point are only 12%. So an Instapot, something like that, that might be a coffee maker, that might be like $100 item, but you're only paying 12% referral. Also interesting is printer cartridges. This was added since last year at the 12% mark. So they basically it used to be 15%, but has come down to 12%. And they've done that on a couple of different referral categories, actually brought them down in the last year. 15% is basically everything. So everything except all these other kind of things we've talked about. I use 15% in my head as kind of the go-to percent, but actually like know that like, hey, if I can sell grocery that's less than $15, then I get that break, that 8% fee. Or if I can sell beauty at the less than $10 price point, then I get that break. So all of those things are important to know, but most of your things are going to fit in here. Video games, toys, backpacks, books, pet supplies, all of those things fit here in the 15% category. 20% is the highest referral fee category, and that is on jewelry up to $250. Now, what they've done is they've said, like, if it's more than $250, then you only pay 5% on the portion that's greater than $250. So if you sold something for $300, like a watch, you would pay 20% on $250 of that, and then only 5% on that additional $50 that the item sold. So, on top of your referral fees, which are based upon the sales price of your item, and again, those are charged no matter which way you sell your products, whether you sell them seller fulfilled or WFS. If you are going to sell items WFS, there are WFS fees. Think of it as like your pick and pack fee over on Amazon. So obviously with seller fulfilled, you're purchasing shipping. So there's that additional cost of how much it costs to ship the item to the customer. So this is kind of like the shipping cost for WFS. So it's how much Walmart is going to charge you to pick that item out of the items that you have sent them and ship it to the customer. And WFS fees are determined by the shipping weight of the item. With a little caveat. So if it's less than a pound, you're going to use the unit weight of the item, but they add 0.25 pounds for packing materials. So there's 16 ounces in a pound, so they add 4 ounces if you're looking at that your item weight in ounces. So if you have something that's 8 ounces and you add 4 more ounces, that's 12 ounces, you're still below 16 ounces. So that would be the less than a pound rate. But if you have something that weighs, let's say 13 ounces, if you add 4 ounces to that, you're at 17 ounces. So that puts you over a pound. So it isn't just the weight of the item. There is this additional 0.25 pounds added because they have to pack it. So whether they're packing that in a bubble envelope or into a small box, some brown paper or something like that, they basically are using that 0.25 as a generality to add on top of the actual item weight. And that's true no matter whether it's less than a pound or over a pound, any actual weight gets that 0.25 added to it. So the less than a pound rate is a great rate. It's $3.45 unless the item is less than $10. We'll talk about that in a second. From 1 pound up to 150 pounds, the way they determine it is by dimensional weight. And then they compare that to the actual weight. And dimensional weight is there's a formula that you take the length times the width times the height in inches, and you divide that by 139 to get dimensional weight. And so then they would compare that to the actual weight, take the larger of the two, and then they add that 0.25 for the packing material. So let's look at the fees. So if you're at a pound or less, this is after you add the 0.25 pounds, that is $3.45. Between a pound and 2 pounds, you're paying $4.95. Between 2 and 3 pounds, you're at $5.45. Now, once you're at the 4 pound mark, then it's actually this 575 plus 40 cents for each pound that's greater than 4. So if you have a 5 pound item, you're paying $5.75 plus an additional 40 cents. So $6.15. And that goes all the way up to 20 pounds. Then there's this next break for anything between 21 and 30 pounds, and another break between 31 and 50 pounds, and then another break at the 51 and up mark. There are also some additional fulfillment costs depending on your item type. So apparel has a 50-cent additional charge on top of everything else. Hazardous materials has an additional 50-cent charge. And I'll just note right here that um, not all hazmat items are accepted as WFS items, but if they are, they can ship with your regular items. So, those you kind of have to kind of feel out. We can talk more about that when it comes to different item types. If you sell something for less than $10, there is a dollar additional added for that a low cost fee. So we talked about kind of that break point of $10 for baby items. If you sell something for $9.99, you get the lower referral fee, but you have to add this a dollar extra low cost fee. And so with that in mind, maybe that price break point is a little bit closer, like maybe it's $12 instead of like 15, where it's worth it to go to 12 because you don't pay the dollar, even though you're paying higher fulfillment. Oversize is an extra $3, and then there's a second tier oversize that is $20. And so you need to understand, like, if you have something that's basically greater than 4 feet on any side or meets any of these other criteria, it's going to pop it over into the oversize criteria. Walmart also will do big and bulky. Those fees are different. So think about like you sell a lawnmower, something that pretty much definitely has to be palletized to be WFS. Sometimes vacuum cleaners can kind of fit in here. Just really depends on the weight. For example, I sold some generators. I ended up seller fulfilling those because it was cheaper for me to do that, even though the seller fulfilled like shipping fee was over $300, than to send it in, pay the shipping into Walmart, and then have Walmart charge me this big and bulky fee. So those are kind of all of your criteria for whether or not it fits into big and bulky. Then you also, if you're doing WFS, you do have storage fees. And I will say that Walmart has been pretty generous. They offer new sellers discounted storage, free storage, discounts on referral fees, lots of different items. So, like, you need to know how to utilize that. In Q1 through Q3, you're paying 75 cents per cubic foot. If you're selling, bulky items, that can add up. But if you're selling small items, small makeup items, small toys, that kind of thing, really storage is not that expensive. Now, in Q4, the standardized fees do go up for any items that have been stored more than 30 days. So they double those storage fees. I will say that for the last 6 years, Walmart has always come out and said, like, hey, if you'll send some items to a WFS by this date, we will waive those additional storage fees in Q4. So it's really important to watch those emails and like send one shipment in and get kind of in under the wire, so that you can enjoy not having those additional storage fees in Q4. Also, it has been in the terms of service forever that there is long-term storage fees, and that those long-term storage fees could be up to $7.50 a cubic foot. That would add up really, 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 really fast. However, Walmart has not been charging those to date, but they did this year send out an email at the beginning of the year and said, hey, we are going to start charging these starting June 9th, but it's going to be a $2.25 per cubic foot fee. So they didn't go all the way up to the $7.50 that they had in place, which is nice, but they also gave us some runway to either sell through or recall inventory. But that's still a pretty hefty storage fee. So unless you don't have another means, or you really think that you're going to sell through rather quickly, you might want to leave them there. But I would really make sure that you're not storing things for over a year. That probably means it was a bad buy, or you shipped it in too soon. Maybe it's a seasonal item and you should have waited to ship it in. Walmart and even Amazon for that matter are really not in the storage business, which is why they charge these much higher fees. You'd be better off like renting a storage unit to store things until a good time to send those in. All right, so now let's look at some examples of applying the fees to items that we may sell. So I have this bottle. These are all like made up hypotheticals. I did pull the actual pricing for these, but it's been a while, so it might not match what's on the websites today. But this is just kind of for practice and comparison reasons. So we have this bottle of Italian garden dressing. We're going to buy it for $3.98 and we're going to sell it for $16.99. The dimensions of this item are 2.7, 2.7, and 7.9. If we multiply all of those together, because this weighs more than a pound, it's a 16-ounce dressing in a bottle, so we know it weighs more than a pound. If we multiply the dimensions together and divide by 139, the dimensional weight is 0.42. The actual weight is 1.2. So Walmart takes the greater of these. So we're going to be using that 1.2 pound weight. We have to add the 0.25 pounds to it. So we get 1.45 pounds and we round up to 2 pounds. And so this is going to be a $4.95 fulfillment WFS fee if we sell this WFS. The referral fee for anything over $15 is 15%. So $16.99 times 15% would be $2.55 for the referral fee. So to come up with actually whether or not this is profitable, if we send it in WFS at a $16.99 price point, if we take away the $4.95 fulfillment fee and we take away the $2.55 referral fee and we take away our buy cost of $3.98, we have a net profit of $5.51. And that's 138% ROI. This is a plastic bottle. I would definitely ship this in at that kind of ROI. I think that would be a great buy. Now let's take into account this bottle of Taco Bell hot sauce. This is in a glass bottle, 7.5 ounces. So we are under a pound. We're going to buy this for $1.98. We're going to sell it for $9.98. So the dimensions, we multiply those together, we divide it by 139, and our dimensional weight is 0.24. The weight of this bottle is 14.25 ounces, which is 0.89 pounds. Glass adds a lot of weight. So the actual weight, we take that 0.89 plus the 0.25, and we're going to be above a pound. So $4.95 for our fulfillment fee. Under $15 grocery has a referral fee of 8%, so we're only paying 80 cents for the referral fee. Grocery that we sell for under $10 has an additional $1 charge for a low-cost inventory fee. So to sell this Walmart WFS at a sell price of $9.98, we subtract the fulfillment fee, we subtract the referral fee, we subtract the under $10 fee, and we subtract our buy cost, and we have a net profit of $1.25. That's 62% ROI, which that sounds really good, but also keep in mind that you're going to have to bubble wrap this glass bottle so it doesn't break, label it, and pay for shipping into WFS. And so for me, $1.25 is not enough profit to do that. I like to be at least $4 profit just to take into account my shipping costs. Take a look at this item. We're going to buy it for $98. We're going to sell it for $169. Again, we multiply all of our dimensions and our dimensional weight is 31.24. The actual weight is 22.87. So this is the first one we've looked at where dimensional weight is more than the actual weight. So we're going to take that dimensional weight, add the 0.25, and that gives us 31.49, round that up to 32 pounds. And that's going to be a $14.95 fulfillment fee. Compact Appliances has a referral fee of 12%. So 12% of $169.99 is $20.40. So if we sell it for $169 and we subtract our fulfillment fee, our referral fee, our buy cost, our net profit is 36 $26.64. We divide that by the buy cost to get our ROI, which is 37%. If this had enough sales on it, estimated sales, I would definitely sell it. All right, so let's compare apples to apples here. Let's pretend that we buy this item for $9.99 and that we're going to sell it for $26.94 on both Amazon and Walmart. What does that look like? How does that compare? If I sold at Amazon FBA, there would be a fulfillment fee of $5.65. And there would be a referral fee of $4.04. And my net profit would be $7.26. On Walmart, the fulfillment fee is $3.45. And the referral fee is $4.05. Actually, that should be exactly the same. Sorry. Net profit is $9.45. So obviously, I'm going to make more money if I sell this for the exact same price on Walmart. Now, the difference would be that how fast that item may or may not sell. But one thing to keep in mind is velocity. If I bought 20 of these, how fast can I sell 20 on Amazon and make back my money plus the $7.26 each versus selling 20 on Walmart? And you're just going to have to look at those numbers and compare and make decisions. It's going to be based upon velocity of each item on each platform, the number of sellers on each platform, all of those things. So let's look at what actually is going on with this item at the time that I made these slides. So on Amazon, the sales price is actually only $13.10, and there are 31 sellers on this listing. So with the fulfillment fee and the referral fee of 15% of $13.10, my net profit is negative here. So wouldn't even want to consider selling it on Amazon. On Walmart, it actually is $26.94, and there are only 6 sellers on this listing with a fulfillment fee of $3.45 and the referral fee of $4.05. My net profit is $9.45. So actuals, definitely you're going to sell it over here on WFS. Not all are as clear cut as this, but I wanted to bring this kind of forward for a reference point. So let's take a look at this Zatarain's air fryer fish mix. So we buy it for $1 on Amazon. It's $2.17 with a sales rank of 16,000. The fulfillment fee is only 17 cents. The referral fee is 404, but that's negative. So obviously this is not a good product for FBA because I'm in the negative buying this. But at Walmart, the sales price is $7.22. The sales rank is 677 in grocery. Fulfillment fee is $3.45. The referral fee is 58 cents because grocery it's only 8%. And then you do pay that low fee for it being under $10, which is an extra dollar. My net profit's $1.19. This is a little different than the Taco Bell sauce example. This is a box. Honestly, with Walmart, I would not have to do any prep to this if I didn't want to. I could just send them in, not even stickering them, as long as the UPC matches. So with that little effort, would I maybe sell that? Yeah, I might. Might be something I would consider doing. And one more example, let's look at this Olay whip that I'm buying for $12. On Amazon, the sales price is $20. The sales rank is 30K in beauty. It's got a fulfillment fee of $3.90 and a referral fee of $3.15 for a net profit of $1.82. Not the greatest. On Walmart, it sells for $29.44. It's got a sales rank of 338. Walmart's catalog is not as vast as Amazon's yet. And also the way they do sales rank is kind of like subcategory versus category. So comparative wise, like it probably sells equally as well on both of these platforms. Fulfillment fee is $3.45, referral fee is $4.42, so my net profit's $9.57. So that one's kind of a no-brainer to look at that. So that just hopefully gives you kind of some concepts and ideas around fee structure on Walmart. I will be sharing with you in the third-party softwares that will do these calculations for you so that you don't have to keep it all in your head. But it is important to kind of understand them and what the expectations are because software can make mistakes. And if you see a fee that sounds like whoa, that doesn't look right, that kind of you're going to be ahead of other people who just take the software at face value. So now we're going to close this out, and I will see you in the next video.